Hello everyone. Hello.
Okay. థ్యాంక్ యూ సిస్టర్. థ్యాంక్ యూ. మీరుండరు ఇక్కడ.
తీసుకొస్తాను ఇదేస్తా తొందరగా ఏదో
Good evening to all. Warm welcome to the 5-day National Webinar-cum-Faculty Development Program on Advanced Research Methodology and Data Analysis in the Digital Age, organized by the Department of Commerce from 22nd to 26th October 2024. Dear participants, I request you all to keep your audio in mute. Let us begin the first day of 5-day National Webinar-cum-Faculty Development Program, seeking divine blessings as we listen to a prayer song. I request everyone to join for prayer. I invite Sister Bhagya to invoke God's blessings through a prayer song.
You are my refuge, you are my fortress, you are my friend in me, you are my God. I will worship you with all of my heart. I will seek your face all through my life. I will serve you, Lord, with all that I have. Here I am, here I am. Oh Lord, here I am. Oh Lord, here I am. Oh Lord, here I am. You are my Savior. You are my healer. You are my strength in need. You are my God. I will worship you with all of my heart. I will seek your face all through my life. I will serve you, Lord, with all that I have. Here I am, here I am. Oh Lord, here I am. Oh Lord, here I am. Oh Lord, here I am.
Thank you, Sister Bhagya, for imploring God's blessings. I now invite Dr. Sister Shaini, the principal of JMJ College for Women, Autonomous Tenali, to deliver her welcome address.
ఇది వాయిస్ లైవ్
Good evening, everyone. It is my great honor to welcome you to the National Webinar on Advanced Research Methodology and Data Analysis in the Digital Age, taking place from October 22nd to 26th, 2024. We are delighted to have participants from all corners of the country join us for what promises to be an engaging and enriching experience. As we delve into the topic of advanced research methodology and data analysis, it is essential to recognize the profound impact that the digital age has on these fields. The advent of big data, machine learning, and various analytical tools has transformed the landscape of research. In this webinar, we will explore innovative methodologies that leverage digital technologies to enhance research outcomes, address challenges in data analysis, and promote effective decision making. Our discussions will be provide insights into emerging trends, best practices, and practical applications that will empower you to navigate this evolving environment successfully. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to our esteemed speakers and resource persons, very especially today's keynote speaker, Professor Shivaram Prasad from Acharya Nagarjuna University, for graciously agreeing to share their knowledge and expertise. Your insights will undoubtedly enhance the learning experience of all the participants. I express my special thanks and appreciation to Dr. G. Sudhakaraiah, the convener and lecturer in the Department of Commerce, for his exceptional efforts in organizing this event. I would also like to acknowledge Dr. M. Sambasivudu, the head of the Department of Commerce, Mrs. Vanaja, for their dedicated contributions in leading this webinar. I sincerely hope that this webinar brings fresh perspectives, new knowledge, and renewed enthusiasm to each of you. May you find this experience both fruitful and enriching. Thank you.
Thank you, sister, for your valuable and informative message and words of welcome. I, Dr.G. Sudhakaraiah, the convener of this webinar, would like to brief about the importance and significance of this webinar. Respected distinguished speakers, participants, and my dear colleagues, a warm welcome to 5-day National Webinar-cum-Faculty Development Program on Advanced Research Methodology and Data Analysis in the Digital Age, organized by the Department of Commerce from 22nd to 26th October 2024. We are delighted to have experts, scholars, and participants from around the world joining us for this enriching Webinar-cum-Faculty Development Program. It is my privilege to address you all today and highlight a few focal points on the topic, Advanced Research Methodology and Data Analysis in the Digital Age. The Webinar-cum-Faculty Development Program aims to explore the evolving landscape of research practices, particularly in the context of technological advancements. In the digital age, research methodologies are being transformed by new tools, data sources, and analytical techniques and online research platforms. This faculty development program provides a platform for academics, researchers, and professionals to discuss innovative data analysis techniques. So, expert lectures and interactive discussions, participants will gain a deeper understanding of how to leverage digital tools and methodologies to enhance the quality of efficiency of their research. Participants will engage in expert sessions to enhance their research skills. Hope much light will be thrown on these areas during the sessions ahead by the experts in the field with fruitful interaction of you all. Thank you, and once again, welcome you all. I am now privileged to introduce the keynote speaker, Professor Sivaram Prasad Ramineni, Dean Faculty of Commerce and Management Administration and Research Director of Computer Science and Engineering, Acharya Nagarjuna University, Nagarjuna Nagar. Professor Sivaram Prasad Sir is qualified with MBA, MCom, MCA, PGDCA and PhD. As an interdisciplinary researcher, Sir has contributed to the society and produced 36 doctorates in the disciplines of commerce and management science and computer science and engineering. With the corporate connect under the CSR motivated different companies to sponsored funds. Sir, with continuous effort, collect 1 crore fund from different corporate companies to construct a building for International Business Department of the university. Contributed to the academia in design the curriculum as a BOS member in the different universities and various autonomous colleges. For having international exposure and visited various countries to present the research articles and to understand the education over the globe. Sir received Best Research Award in the year 2015 by Acharya Nagarjuna University. Professor Sir received State Level Best Teacher Award in the year 2017. He successfully completed 3 projects worth of rupees 40,50,000. He visited USA, UK, South Korea, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Nepal, and Germany. We are happy to have such a knowledgeable person as a keynote speaker for this Webinar-cum-Faculty development program. Sir, we will be delivering his keynote address on how to identify the research problem in digital era. We request you to share your knowledge with us on this topic. Hearty welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, Sudhakaraiah. Thanks to
Thank you,
the
sir.
academic administration and general administration of the JMJ College, who Sujan invited me and chosen me as a keynote speaker for the 1 week webinar on the research methodology and data analysis. The given topic to me is how did identify the research problem, particularly in the digital era. Nowadays, majority of the people doing research without perfect identification of the research problem. Reasons are numerous, even though perfect research not come out. Keep in the mind this topic I have taken. You know very well, identification of the research problem is the first and the or most important step in the research process. Generally, a broad area is selected and then a broad topic is delimited or narrowed down to the specific one sentence statement of the problem. Many of the people write down statement of the problem. How did the statement come? Once you ask the question, no answer. No answer. So, this type of the problem may be arise, particularly when identify the research problem. Right? Very important thing for the identification of research problem is particularly in the digital era. Broadly, we select one research area. Broadly, select the one research area. Research area may be related to the business functions. It may be related to the marketing. Marketing is the broad area of the research. Area, human resource management, or it may be financial management or technology management, whatever might it is. This is a broad area. First step of the identification of research problem is identify the research broad area. From that area, identify the research problem is very important. Identify the research problem. How to identify it? So before identify the research problem, we need to identify the research gap. For the sake of that, what researcher is doing is collecting the literature. But good and olden days, we have one method, conventional method, traditional method is, right, who particularly in this field, who has done work particularly in this field. Research area point of view. Some of the people done research. This data usually we could get it from the different type of the Sodh Ganga, Indian periodical literature, university news, and some other resources. We got the identify the different researchers, their contributions. Once read the thesis, each thesis, reading is very difficult task. Reading, noting, identify the deficiencies of each thesis, very difficult. It is almost a Herculean task to the researchers. Concentration, pay attention on that is also a very difficult task. So that's why earlier research actually, once problem identification completely depend upon the professor's instructions, the research guide who identify the broad area of the research. From that area, we research scholar follow the instructions of the research guide. So, reason research professor has the knowledge in their field, he suggested the research problem also. Based on the research problem, very conventional way, they identify the research gap and identify the research problem. But world is very, very speedily transforming. Research also, tremendous changes taking place. Right? For computerization to the digitization process is going on. World is moving to the automation way. At the juncture, particularly in the digital era, how to identify the research problem is very, very important. That point of view, right, already I told, next actually very important thing, how to review the literature. How to review the literature. How to review the literature. A literature review, generally, whatever the literature that we have collected, the literature earlier conventional method is different. Today, the digital era, lot of literature possible to retrieve with the help of some digital methods. So many methods. Like the question to be considered at the time of the reviewing the literature. A question that need to be answered. A concept researcher want to understand. A crisis that need to be resolved. A situation that needs to be changed. A motivate to identify the gap. Already I have given 7 core research gaps. Empirical gap, methodological gap, practical knowledge gap, next slide, please change to next slide. Next. Yes. These are the core, right, 7 core research gaps. Evidence gap, population gap, theoretical gap, empirical gap, methodological gap, practical knowledge, and knowledge gap. So this actually we take an account it. So nowadays, literature review point of view, right, wonderful methods came. And once you go to the change the slide, I can explain. The earlier we have changed the slide. The traditional method that we have. The traditional method, narrative literature, right, encyclopedia of searching with the help of the encyclopedia and a narrative literature review. So all with the help of our own assumptions, with our research guide advice, we may identify the research gaps and review the literatures. Modern digital methods emerge. So many methods that we have. One is SLR method, systematic literature review method. With the help of that method, we develop actually a prism statement. A prism statement. Bibliometric analysis. Bibliometric analysis. The meta-analysis. Right? Meta-analysis. We can do it. Framework-based review. Framework-based review. Reference method, so many that I mentioned, very few here. So many methods that we have. The framework-based review method, reference method, technological method, so many methods that we have. Right? What are the major drawbacks of the traditional reviews? Subjectivity and bias. Right here, we are influenced by the other's perspective. There is no actually major problem, lack of systematic methodology, inconsistency, search and selection process. There is no consistency, particularly in the methodology. Selective citations, so many potential omissions generally taking place particularly in the literature review. Limited response, reproducibility. It is very difficult to replicate or verify the review process. This is the major problem, particularly drawback of the traditional. Over-reliance and expert opinion, time-consuming and inefficient, no quantitative synthesis, potential for overgeneralization, our own way, our people, our own assumptions, right, utilizing for the, right, particularly for in traditional way, right. Generally, once you look at the picture, next slide please. This is a new method, right, a framework for identification of the research problem, right, citation analysis we can do, content analysis reports we can do, meta-analysis, systematic reviews, future and limitations of the research limitations also taken accounted. Based on this, we may find out the research gap. Please change the slide. Change the, yes. This is framework for identification of the problem. The citation, with the help of citation analysis, content analysis, meta-analysis, systematic reviews, right, we may identify the research gap. So that it paves the way to develop the research problem. And what are the modern ways of identification of the gap? Around 11 methods are there, but here I have only just incorporate the four methods. One of the important method is systematic literature review method, SLR method. SLR method that I am utilizing, and bibliometric analysis. This is another important method, right? Next one, meta-analysis. Meta-analysis particularly identify the bibliographic behavioral meta-analysis. That means statistical tools and data analysis deficiency may possible to identify the earlier research works. So this is actually now a detailed method. And meta-synthesis, especially digitally, we can identify the major deficiency of the researchers. So what is actually systematic literature review? The aim of the conducting literature review is often to enable the research both to map and assess the existing intellectual territory and specific a research question to develop the existing body of the knowledge of further. A systematic review is a scientific tool. It can be apprise, summarize, and communicate the results and implication of otherwise unmanageable quantities of the research. This is systematic research. Why systematic literature review is very important? Very important. Systematic review research are incredibly important for several reasons. Firstly, they provide reliable, unbiased summary of existing research on the specific topic. Instead of replying individual studies, systematic reviews gather information from multiple primary studies, ensuring a comprehensive overview of the current evidence. By summarizing research papers, systematic review help to research professionals make evidence-based decisions. They allow professionals to evaluate the effectiveness of the interventions, treatments, diagnostic methods based on the large body of evidence. As a research professional, incorporate different type of reviews in the practice. A major advantage of the systematic literature review that is based on the well-defined methodology. They aim to find, assess, and aggregate all relevant evidences. A researcher conducting systematic literature select empirical studies that are relevant to the particular research question, assess the valuability of each one, and then determine the trend shown by the studies. To investigate available evidence that support, refute the particular topic of the interest. To provide a framework, background in order to appropriate position of the new research activities. So that's why the SLR method is a wonderful method. That's why so many advantages the method has. Generally, numerous studies included in it. That's why this is a very important. Other one, very important, the method that is called, you change the slides. Next. Next, we go for next. Yes. Once you look at reporting item of systematic reviews and meta-analysis. The framework was developed by the mother based on the importance of systematic reviews of very comprehensive and systematic way. The framework identifies the records through the database search as well as from the other sources. Screening of records after duplicates have been removed and the number of the record screened, excluded is noted. After the screening of the record, full tests are identified. It would be possible to develop a prisma statement. A prisma statement. I want to change the slide. Please change the slide. Yes, this is the prisma, prisma statement. Please mute it.
లైనింగ్ పాలు ఒకటి మామూలు.
Anjana Meka, right. Once you look at it, this is a prisma statement. Right, once you look at it, right, where whatever that data we collected, how records identified, how additional records identified through the other sources, how records and duplicates are removed, how many records screened, how many excluded, how full text articles excluded with reasons, full text articles assessed for eligibility, studies included in the qualitative synthesis, right? What are studies included? This once with the help of this, here 4 points are important. One is identified, screening, eligibility, included. So this is a prisma statement. This is a detailed method, right? Through that, every corner information it is possible to retrieve, right, and identify it properly, and analyzing properly, right? Reviewing it very wonderful way. So this is actually very important SLR prism statement. Once you know, right, these are the some of the steps. Next slide go, right? Step 1 already as given. Identify the papers on the basis of search strategies. Relevant database used for searching and collecting research papers. The most common database of literature include Google Scholar, Embassy, IEEE Explore, Abasco, right, and the Crochen and PubMed. The first step does not involve the inclusion and exclusion of papers. Step 2, screening the papers will involve using the quality checking stages. The first screening uses both inclusion and exclusion criteria and quality checklist to include the relevant papers. Right. Step 3, check the title of the papers found and corresponding current study. In addition, exclude papers on the basis of availability of full text papers. It only accepts the full text papers. Next slide, please, go for next. Next, right, step 4, then check the papers in the specified language. Most scholars use English, however, others may be their local language like French, Japanese, Spanish, and others. All people may utilize it. The inclusion or exclusion of papers in this step also seek to identify duplicate papers. Step 5, similar step, last step, involve critically reviewing the paper to address and aim of the current study. So this is the model, right? This is a very different way we can manage it. Once similar way, right? If you go to the next slide, meta-analysis, right? Where I have given, right, in the right. Once you look at it, this is what called checklist items. The checklist items, you look at title, abstract, introduction, methods, information sources, search strategy, selection process, and results, and everything, right? Yes, one next slide. Similarly, these the study characters, discussions, other information also, right? Analyzing it, reviewing it, right? Next, right, same, continue it. Go for next slide. So similar way, next is meta-analysis. This is other important detail method. Qualitative approach for systematically combining results of the previous research to arrive a conclusion about the body of the research. Quantitative approach, that means generally research. In research, identifying statistical tools and this, right, whatever the data that we have, analyzing the data, and the data analysis is important, right, content of the research, important content of the report writing. So where this is a quantitative approach, meta-analysis, right? What is meta-analysis? Right, it is a quantitative and numbers, systematical, methodical, combining and putting together, right? Right, earlier previous research, right? Whatever they have done, that also taken account it. New knowledge has drawn, right? This is the meaning of the meta-analysis. What are the steps involved in the meta-analysis? Identify your studies. Determine eligibility of studies. Inclusion, which one to keep. Exclusion, which one throw out. What you wish to throw out something, that is called exclusion. Next, extract data from the studies. Analyze data in the studies statistically using forest plot and panel plot. So these are the tools that particularly for utilizing the meta-analysis. What are the statistical software we are using for meta-analysis? As I said earlier, this is a free software, open software. You may possible download it, AP Meta from the AP Info, and Revman from Coherent Collaboration, Meta package in R statistical computing. So these are the very renowned statistical software we are using for the meta-analysis. And third, very important, is bibliometric analysis. What do you mean by the bibliometric analysis? Third, very important detail, method for reading literature. Next slide, please. Bibliometric analysis. The bibliometric are the statistical analysis of the books, articles, other publications. Analyzers are used to track other research output and impact. Also used to calculate journal impact factors. Bibliometric data can also be visualized, understand the publication relationship. But I didn't understand how far you understand the bibliometric analysis based on the impact factors. We have published the different articles. We are publishing different types of research papers. The impact factor also taken account it and analyze the worthiness of particular research. So that is actually bibliometric analysis. So these are the important steps involved in the bibliometric analysis. So go for the next page. First step, determine the keywords. Through with the help of these keywords, we may identify the early research paper. Second step is collect data in the ISI web of the knowledge and report and export to the test. Third step, send data to the SIN tool and generate post-citation analysis. And fourth step is send these files to the Gpay to generate cluster analysis. These are the steps involved in the bibliometric analysis. Practically, once you work out it seems to be very hard, but it's very easy. And this is example of bibliometric analysis. Bibliometric analysis. So a lot of actually the works we are possible to get it. That analysis, example I have shown to you for your better understanding. So once with the help of all this method, we may possible to find out the gap analysis. Once change slide, you go for next research gap. So this is the research gap, This with the help of this knowledge unknown things we can find out, what the type of the gap that we have. The gap is concerned to the research or point of view, or gap in concept, gap in perspective, gap in theory, or gap in methodology, or gap in statistics, or gap in some analysis. Everything we may possible to find out. Through that, we may possible to identify the research gap and identify the research problem. Similar way, once I have provided one example, Prisma example. Next slide, where I once look at it, this example is very useful to you. Please download it for the better understanding. Once the prism, once you have developed the statement without much wasting time, very easy to find out the research gap. Once you identify the gap and identify the problem, is very, very easy to the research based on the research gap and deficiency. With this, I thanks to the JMJ College management and head of the department, Principal Shiny and Sudhakar, who are the major stakeholders of particularly this webinar. With this, thank you, one and all. Thank you. Mugana?
Thank you, sir, for the inspiring and thought-provoking information. The topic, how to identify the research problem in digital era. Your session is very enthusiastic and lively. The sir covered how to identify the research problem, the conventional methods, Sodhganga, university news, review of literature, traditional methods and digital methods, drawbacks of traditional review, framework for identification of problem, systematic review, full text articles, Google Scholar, Embass, etc. Meta-analysis using different tools in meta-analysis, bibliometric analysis, research gap. So many topics are covered. So thank you, sir, for our wonderful lecture. Dear participants, now this is your time. If you have any queries, you are requested to clarify your doubts with the keynote speaker, Professor Sivaram Prasad, sir.
Any queries?
I hope you have clarified your doubts. If there are no other queries, we shall move on the session 1 by Professor M. Venkateswarlu, Department of Commerce, Sri Venkateswara University, Tirupati. Sir, one request, sir. Undavalli Venkateswara garu has raised the hand for doubt. Sir, Undavalli Venkateswara garu, please ask your doubt.
ఫోన్ చేస్తా మాట్లాడను.
Okay. I hope you have clarified your doubts. If there are no other queries, we shall move on the session 1 by Professor M. Venkateswarlu, Department of Commerce, Sri Venkateswara University. I am proud to introduce the resource person for this webinar, who is my guru, Professor Venkateswarlu, who will be delivering on the topic Research Methodology and Data Analysis in Digital Era. Professor Venkateswarlu is holding a PhD degree from SV University in the year 1994. He was appointed as a lecturer in Sri Venkateswaraya University, Tirupati in October 1992. Promoted as Associate Professor during 2001 and subsequently he became Professor during 2009. His area of specialization is quantitative techniques and business decisions and project planning and control during 2001. And he is having 32 years of become professor during 2009 experience, 7 MPhil area of and specialization is 26 quantitative degrees and business awarded decisions and 10 and project planning and control under during 2001 guidance. And he is having 32 years of become professor during 2009 published 157 MPhil area of in various specialization is 26 quantitative degrees and business awarded. He organized 3 national project planning and control under during 2001 guidance. And he is having 32 years of become professor 59 national and international 157 MPhil area of and specialization is 26 quantitative degrees and business awarded. He organized 3 national project planning and control under during 2001 knowledge of and he is having 32 years of become professor 59 national and 157 MPhil area of and specialization is 26 quantitative degrees and business awarded. He organized 3 national project planning and control under during 2001 knowledge of. Thank you for all your encouragement. 59 national
Thank you, Sudhakar, for reading my biodata very briefly. Good evening to all of you. My heartfelt greetings to the management of JMJ College for women who initiated to conduct this 5-day national webinar from faculty on advanced research methodology and data analysis in the digital age of JMJ College. The resource persons participated especially students from faculty on advanced it was my first PhD candidate data analysis Dr.G Sudhakaraiah, convener of this webinar, Dr. M. Samathudu, head of the Department of Commerce, friends and students. It gives me great pleasure to participate in this national webinar. For that I am very much happy. At the outset, I would like to tell about the Department of Commerce, the research methodology. What is research methodology? The research methodology in nothing but the act of formulating exhaustive strategy for the execution of research is referred to as the research methodology. It encompasses the systematic approach and the techniques used to gather, quantify and analyze data. It pertains to the structure of an investigation in a process. It allows the researcher to address research objectives in an archive, impartial manner and scientific manner. Research methodology simply refers to the practical outcomes of research study. More specifically, it is about how a researcher systematically designs a study to achieve valid and reliable results that address the research aims, objectives, and research questions. Specifically, how the researcher a study went about value, what type of data to collect. That is qualitative or quantitative. Qualitative The mixed method methodology attempts to combine the best of both, that is qualitative and quantitative information in order to answer a research question. It can be used in a variety of fields, including the social, health, and behavioral sciences. With regard to how to select information, that is nothing but the sampling strategy. I think all of us know about the sample. A sample is nothing but some portion of total population. Here also, some of them don't know about the population. A population is nothing but collection of objects for a particular study. For example, a researcher wants to conduct average marks of SVO, then the population would become all the students of SU University. And another example, if the researcher wants to conduct an inquiry about how an American bachelor spends on his clothes, education, etc., then all the American bachelors become our population. So, sampling plays nowadays very important role in different fields, and sampling is a technique that enables researchers to infer conclusions about the population without studying every member. It involves selecting a smaller manageable group that is representative of the larger population. By examining this small subset, researchers can estimate population parameters. Here, I would like to tell about the statistic and the parameters. The statistic means it is based on sample observation, and the parameter is based on total units of the population. Sudhakar, disturbance is there. Sudhakar,
Sir, clear, sir.
Okay, very good, very good. And this sample can be used to estimate the population parameters and testing the hypothesis and analyze trends in a practical and efficient manner. Sampling is essential in research where time, resources, or logistical constraints prevent a full population study. A well-chosen sample can provide accurate and generalizable results, making sampling a fundamental tool in scientific investigation, survey, clinical trials, and market research. Okay. Examples of sampling. Suppose if you take political sampling, pollsters select a sample of voters to predict election results. For example, polling organization may survey about 2,500 persons likely voters to estimate the national preference for a presidential candidate. Or with regard to environmental monitoring, a study on air quality in a large city may collect air samples from 10 specific locations representing various parts of the city to draw conclusions about overall pollution levels. And one should know about why we need or what are the objectives of sampling. The main aims or objectives of sampling to achieve several key objectives that help in making informed decisions and accurate inferences about a population. And also generalization. To generalize the results, we have to use the sampling. to ensure that conclusions drawn from the sample can be applied to the population. The sample must be representative as much as possible to achieve valid generalizations. And also, next objective is cost efficiency. By studying a portion of the population, researchers have resources and time. Sampling reduces the financial burden when compared to a full census method. And also, another aim is for sampling is accuracy and precision. Sampling allows researchers to measure key variables accurately while ensuring precise results within a manageable scope. For example, in healthcare, a sample of patients might be used to evaluate new treatment aiming to generalize the findings to a broader patient group. With regard to business, customer satisfaction surveys are conducted on a sample of clients to estimate the satisfaction levels of the entire customer base. One should know the distinction between a census and sampling. In a census, data is collected from each and every individual in the population. This approach provides comprehensive information but can be time consuming and expensive. And in some of the occasions, we cannot able to collect the entire population units. For example, a national housing census where every household is surveyed to gather data on living conditions and demographics. And whereas to sampling involves selecting a part of the population to make inferences about the whole. Sampling is more practical when compared to census method in situations where studying the entire population unrealistic. For example, conducting a survey of 500 randomly selected high school students to assess overall student health behaviors. Okay, and in this session, I would like to tell about what are the characteristics of a good sample. A good sample must be a representative one. The sample should closely match the characteristics of the overall population. For example, if the population is 50% male and 50% female, the sample should reflect this gender ratio. The more representative a sample is, the more valid the conclusions drawn from it. And also, the sample should contain accuracy. This is the one of the characteristics of a good sample. A good sample minimizes errors or bias, ensuring that the data collected reflects the true characteristics of the population. This is important for making reliable predictions or generalizations. And also, it should have precision. Precision refers to the consistency of results obtained from the sample. If multiple samples were taken, they should yield similar results, indicating that the data is reliable and replicable. And also, size is also important for having a good sample. A large sample size generally provides more reliable results as it reduces the margin of error. However, sample size must also be balanced against cost and logistical constraints. The right size depends on the population size, variability, and required confidence levels. And here, I would like to tell about different types of sampling techniques. Mainly, there are two types of sampling techniques. One is probability or random sampling, and non-probability or non-random sampling techniques. Here, probability and random sampling. In probability sampling, each member of the population has a known non-zero chance of being selected. That is, everyone is having chance being included in that particular sample. This reduces the risk of the bias and allows for statistical generalization to the population. So there are different types of probability or random sampling techniques. One is simple random sampling, and another one is systematic sampling, and another one is stratified random sampling, and another one is a cluster sampling, and also we have multi-sampling techniques under probability sampling techniques. And under non-probability, non-random sampling, that is, in non-probability sampling, some members of the population have no chance of being selected. This method is more prone to bias and is often used in exploratory research when probability sampling is not feasible. These techniques include convenient sampling, judgment sampling, and another one is snowball sampling and quota sampling. Here we have to get a doubt how to select a sample. There is a procedure for selecting a sample size. That is, sample size is a crucial factor in research as it affects the accuracy and generalizability of results. A small sample size may lead to unreliable estimates, while a very large sample may be unnecessary and wasteful. Researchers aim to choose a sample size that balances practical constraints like time and cost with the need for accurate data. Factors such as population variability, the desired confidence level, and the acceptable margin of error are considered when determining the appropriate sample size. And also, there are factors to be considered how to select a sample. One is confidence level. Confidence level reflects the degree of certainty that the sample accurately represents the population. A 95% confidence level means there is a 95% chance the sample accurately reflects the population. Margin of error. This margin of error indicates the range within which the true population parameter is expected to lie. A small margin of error requires a large sample size. And also population variability. If the population is very diverse, a large sample size is needed to capture that variability and produces accurate estimates. And also sample value and population parameter. Sample value, I already said, refers to a numerical summary, that is mean, median, sample standard deviation calculated from the sample data. The sample statistic is used to estimate the population parameter. The population parameter, it is the true value for the entire population, such as the population mean or the population proportion. Since it is often impractical to measure directly, it is estimated using the sample value. And most of the times we don't know about the population parameter, but we have to estimate based on the sample statistic. Here, I would like to tell about the sampling and non-sampling errors. Sampling, why these occur? Sampling errors. These sampling errors occur when the sample does not perfectly represent the population, leading to discrepancies between the sample statistic and the population parameter. For example, a small sample size may lead to underrepresentation of certain subgroups, affecting the accuracy of the findings. And non-sampling error means these arise from the data collection methods, measurement inaccuracies, or processing errors, and also non-sampling errors can occur even in census. For example, if respondents misunderstand a survey question, the resulting data may be inaccurate. Here, I would like to tell you about there are two types of tests. Uh, that is, one is parametric and non-parametric tests. Parametric tests are used when data fits a specific pattern, while non-parametric tests are used when data does not fit a specific pattern. Non-parametric statistics can be used for descriptive statistics or statistical inference. Examples of parametric tests are a Z test, T test, analysis of variance or F. And examples of non-parametric tests are chi-square and Mann-Whitney U-test or the Wilcoxon test and Spearman ranks order correlation. Non-parametric tests are sometimes is called distribution pretests because they are based on fewer assumptions. That is, they do not assume that the outcome is approximately normally distributed. So, coming to the next topic in the research methodology, that is methods of data collection. Here, the researchers got a doubt. What is about data? What is data? The search for answers to research questions is called collection of data. Data is nothing but facts and other relevant materials, past and present, serving as basis for study and for analysis. Types of data. The data needed for a social science research may be broadly classified into a data pertaining to human beings, data relating to organizations, data pertaining to territorial areas. And what are the different sources of data? Uh, the researchers might be know, all of you, and the viewers also know about these sources of data. The sources of data may be classified into primary sources and secondary sources. Primary sources is nothing but the original sources from which the researcher directly collects data that have not been previously collected. For example, collection of data directly by the researcher on brand awareness, brand preference, brand loyalty, and other aspects of consumer behavior from a sample of consumers by interviewing them. And methods of collecting secondary data. Secondary data refers to information that has already been collected, analyzed, and published by others. It is an economical and a time-saving option for researchers, often used in exploratory studies or to build an existing knowledge. Methods of collecting secondary data consists of published sources. These include books, journals, research papers, and government publications. For example, research may use data from reports by the World Health Organization or economic data published by the government for a study on global health trends. and also government records and reports. Governments regularly collect data through agencies like census bureaus, labor departments, or health ministries. For instance, demographic data from a national census can be used to analyze population growth and migration trends. Online databases and websites. The internet provides access to numerous databases containing research articles, statistics, reports. And also, we have to get the secondary source of information from institutional records also. Companies, non-profit organizations, or academic institutions often collect data for their internal use. A researcher studying consumer behavior might access secondary data from a company's sales reports or market research. And also historical records. Archives, libraries, and museums often maintain historical documents such as old newspapers, legal records, personal letters. Here, the researchers got a question about what is the choice of method of data collection. Choosing the right method of data collection depends on several factors that influence how the data is collected, analyzed, and interpreted. Here, I would like to discuss the factors. One is the nature of the study of the subject matter. The topic of the study determines the best data collection method. For example, quantitative studies involving numerical data might favor surveys or experiments, while qualitative studies exploring opinions or behavior might prioritize interviews or focus groups. For example, in a study on the effectiveness of online learning, researchers might use surveys to gather quantifiable data about student performance and satisfaction, while focus groups would help collect detailed feedback on personal learning experiences. And a second one is the unity of inquiry. Unity of inquiry means to the homogeneity of the population or subject under study. If the study focuses on a homogeneous group, a simple and uniform data collection method like standardized questionnaire is suitable. However, heterogeneous population may require more flexible methods like interviews or case studies. Examples: a study on the mental health of teenagers might use standardized questionnaires, but if the study focuses on the mental health of the both teenagers and adults, separate questionnaires or interviews may be necessary to account for differences in perspectives. And next is the size and spread of the sample. The size and geographical distribution of the sample influence the choice of data collection methods. Large, geographically dispersed samples often require more efficient and scalable methods like online surveys, while smaller or more localized samples may allow for in person interviews or focus groups. For example, a national survey on consumer preferences might utilize an online platform to reach a large dispersed audience, whereas a local market study could be conducted through face to face interviews with the shop owners in a specific area. And also, another one is the scale of the survey. The scale of the survey is nothing but the scope and the depth of the survey dictate the method of data collection. Large scale surveys with thousands of participants often rely on automated tools, for example, online questionnaires, while Smaller in-depth studies might utilize personal interviews to explore topics more comprehensively. Example for this is a large-scale survey assessing national healthcare services might use an online questionnaire to quickly gather data from thousands of patients, whereas a smaller in-depth study of healthcare worker satisfaction could rely on semi-structured interviews. And another factor is the educational level of respondents. The respondents' literacy and understanding levels are crucial in determining the data collection method. If respondents have a high level of education, complex questionnaires or written surveys can be used. If not, face-to-face interviews or oral surveys may be more appropriate. For example, for a study on technologically adoption among university professors, a detailed online questionnaire might be appropriate. For a study of agricultural practices among farmers in rural areas, verbal interviews or simpler questionnaires might be more collective. And another factor is the type and depth of information to be collected. The nature of information being collected also influences the choice of data collection method. Quantitative data like numbers or percentages is best collected through structured questionnaires or surveys, while qualitative data such as personal experiences or opinions often requires in-depth interviews or focus groups. For example, a study that aims to gather in-depth information on consumer emotional towards luxury brands might use focus groups, while a study on consumer purchasing frequency would like to employ a structured survey. And the choice of another method to collect data is the availability of skilled and trained manpower. If skilled manpower is available, more sophisticated methods like in-depth interviews or experimental designs can be employed. If the available workforce is untrained or minimal, simpler and more automated methods like online surveys or observations may be chosen. For example, a pharmaceutical company conducting clinical trials would use highly trained researchers to collect data through complex experimental protocols. On the other hand, a retail store might use an online tool to survey customers without the need for skilled personnel to administer the survey. And lastly, we have the rate of accuracy and the representative nature of the data required. If a high degree of accuracy is required, methods that ensure thorough data collection, such as random sampling surveys or structured interviews, are necessary. If accuracy is less critical, more convenient methods like convenience sampling can be used, though they might be introduced bias. For example, a government survey on national health trends might require highly accurate data collected through stratified random sampling to ensure all regions and demographics are represented. A marketing agency, however, may use convenience sampling to quickly gauge initial interest in a new product. Coming to the last part, that is data analysis in the digital era. Data analysis in the digital era has transformed various industries, enabling better decision making, predicting trends, and optimizing operations. With the advent of advanced technologies, the ability to process large data sets, often referred to as big data, has become very much crucial. In the context of India, data analysis is playing a vital role across multiple sectors. I am giving an overview of how data analysis is reshaping key sectors in India with relevant examples. First of all, how this data analysis is useful in health sector. For example, in health sector, the Arogya Setu app, that is the India's fight against COVID-19, relied heavily on data analysis with the Arogya Setu app applying a crucial role because using this data from millions of users, it helped to track COVID-19 spread, risk zones, and contact tracking, providing the government with the crucial information for decision making and public health intervention. The data the researcher is going to collect about the location data, Bluetooth data, or user reported health data. That is nothing but past health problems. After analyzing this data, the researcher will enable to know real-time tracking of cases, helping authorities focus efforts where outbreaks were likely, saving thousands of lives. Regarding artificial intelligence in diagnostics, artificial intelligence driven data analysis is now used to detect diseases like tuberculosis and cancer through medical imaging. Startups like Nirmay use data analytics to detect breast cancer using thermal imaging, providing non-invasive and cost-effective diagnostic solutions for rural areas. And this data analysis is also useful in the agriculture sector. How this data is useful in the agriculture sector? For example, precision agriculture via data driven decisions. That is, companies like Agriculture Next are leveraging data analytics to revolutionize Indian agriculture. By analyzing wealth data, soil health records, crop conditions, and satellite imagery, farmers receive actionable insights leading to optimal sowing times, water usage, and pesticide management. How this data is useful to farmers? This data can be useful to know the weather patterns, soil health data, crop productivity, etc. If the farmers are used this data, they are able to increase crop yields, reduce waste, and more sustainable farming practices. With regard to digital platforms for farmers, platforms like Electronic National Agriculture Market are using data analysis to connect farmers with markets, providing them with real-time price data, market trends, and helping farmers make informed decisions about crop sales so that the elimination of middlemen, fairer pricing for farmers, and better access to market are possible. Regarding how this data can be analyzed in e-commerce and retail. For example, personalized customer experience in e-commerce. Companies like Flipkart and Amazon India are leveraging customer data analysis to provide personalized shopping experiences based on users' browsing history, past purchases, and preferences. These platforms use machine learning algorithms to recommend products, forecast demand, and even prevent fraudulent activities. The data the researcher is going to collect about purchase history, browsing patterns, customer feedback, etc. Through this, increased customer satisfaction, higher sales, and improved inventory management can be possible. And this data analysis can also be useful in the supply chain optimization. The supply chain optimization can be possible in the digital era with data-driven analysis. Companies optimize logistics and supply chain operations. Reliance Retail uses data to track customer preferences across different regions and forecast inventory needs, ensuring timely restocking of stores and minimizing losses. And one factor we should know about this one is how this data is useful to banking and finance. For example, fraud detection and risk management. Major Indian banks, including ICICI and SBI, are using big data analytics to detect fraud in real time. By analyzing the transactional data, artificial intelligence models can flag unusual activities, preventing fraud before it occurs. For this data can be used like transactional data, customer behavior analytics, location data. With that, the banks can reduce financial frauds, improve customer security. And this data can also be useful to infuse machine learning in banking sector to get credit scoring for loans. Fintech companies such as Bajaj, Finserv, and Razorpay are using data analytics to offer instant loan approvals. By analyzing alternative data points, example, mobile phone usage, online purchase behavior, these companies provide credit to undeserved populations who lack traditional credit histories, so that the financial inclusion and access to credit for the unbanked population will happen. How this data is useful to a telecommunication sector. For example, data-driven customer retention by Geo. Reliance Jio uses data analytics extensively to optimize customer experiences and retain subscribers. Through data on usage patterns, call drop rates, and customer feedback, Geo ensures efficient network management and targets customers with tailored offers. So, this data can be used for call records, browsing patterns, customer interactions, so that the customer satisfaction, improved network quality, and competitive pricing strategies. And recently, we have been using this data uh, for urban planning and smart cities. If you observe smart city projects in India, smart cities like Pune and Ahmedabad use data analytics to manage traffic, optimize water distribution, and improve waste management systems. For instance, traffic data is analyzed in real time to alleviate congestion through automated signals, and energy usage data is monitored for efficient power distribution. How this data can be used in traffic data, sensor data, energy consumption records. If the given data is used properly, definitely it leads to better infrastructure management, reduced resource wastage, and improved quality of life for citizens. Lastly, with regard to education, for example, adaptive learning platforms like Vizus and Unacademy use data analytics to track student progress and adapt lessons accordingly. by analyzing how students interact with their courses. These platforms recommend personalized study paths, improving students' learning outcomes. The data can be used like user engagement data, performance metrics, learning patterns. So, this can be impacted based on personalizing learning experiences, better student performances. So, the data analysis in digital era also has some of the challenges. The challenges in data analysis in India are number one, data privacy. With increasing reliance on data, ensuring privacy is a key challenge. India's personal data protection bill aims to regulate how personal data is collected, stored, and processed. And also, data literacy. Although data analysis is growing rapidly, many sectors still face challenges in data literacy and adoption of data driven approaches, particularly in rural areas. With this, I would like to conclude that is, data analysis in India's digital era has revolutionized industries from healthcare and agriculture to finance and urban planning. The rise of big data and artificial intelligence technologies is making real-time decision making more effective, improving efficiency, and contributing to overall economic growth of the country as well as the AP government. With this, I would like to conclude. For this, I congratulate the convener, Dr. Sudhakaraiah and Dr. M. Sambasivudu, who have given me this opportunity to stand before you and say some of my views. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Ah.
So, dear participants, now this is your time. If you have any queries, you are requested to clarify your doubts with the resource person, my guru, Dr. Professor M. Venkateswara garu.
నేను సుధాకర్ ఎవరు లేనట్టుంది ఏమి క్వశ్చన్స్ ఎవరు నోబడి ఈజ్ ఆస్కింగ్
No queries.
I think they might know very well.
I hope you have clarified your doubts. If there are no other queries, we shall move on the conclusion. Thank you, sir, for enlightening the participants regarding research methodology and data analysis in digital era. Appreciating your knowledge, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you on behalf of the management for sparing your time to be a resource person for this Webinar-cum-Faculty development program. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am proud to say that you are being conducted this webinar and you have taken a lot of efforts, and also with the support of the management, it was possible, I think. Okay, best of luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
As we draw the close of today's enlightening session of the 5-day National Webinar-cum-Faculty Development Program on Advanced Research Methodology and Data Analysis in the Digital Age. It is my privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks. First and foremost, I extend my sincere gratitude to our keynote speaker, Professor Sivaram Prasad, for his thought-provoking insights on how to identify the research problem in digital era. Sir, your inspiring words have given us a broader understanding of identifying the research problem in digital era. I would also like to express my deepest appreciation to Professor Venkateswarlu for sharing your vast experience. Your contribution has enriched today's event, leaving us with much to reflect on the implementing. A special thanks to our beloved principal, Dr. Sister Shiny KP, for her warm welcome and continuous support of this initiative. Sister, your leadership has always been a guiding light for us. To all the participants, thank you for your active engagement and enthusiasm throughout the session. Your presence made the discussions more meaningful and productive. Lastly, I would like to thank our technical and support team for ensuring the smooth functioning of this virtual event. Without your efforts behind the scenes, none of this would have been possible. With that, I extend my gratitude to everyone once again, and I look forward to more such informative and inspiring sessions for the second day of the Webinar-cum-Faculty Development Program at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I leave, Sudhakar?
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, right.
Dear participants, please fill the feedback link. Okay, thank you, sir.
Feedback link ఏమొస్తుంది పర్వాలేదా
Dear participants, feedback link will be posted in the WhatsApp group. Thank you.